the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration. I also want to acknowledge members of the Nevis Island Assembly as well who are here with us. I also want to acknowledge all of the stakeholders who have come this evening to witness this presentation. Of course, this evening we are providing to you an update on the expansion and reconstruction of the Vance Amory International Airport. And indeed, this evening we'll also present to you the environmental and impact assessment this evening. Before we get going though, let me just say that this particular project, we've been talking about it over and over again. Of course, we made a commitment from the initial stages that we'll take the town hall meetings throughout the island of Nevis. Of course, the airport is in the parish of St. James, but every parish in Nevis or the whole of Nevis will be impacted in a positive way by this particular project. So that is why we have taken the opportunity to come to St. George Parish, and of course, in subsequent months, we will perhaps go through St. John's. We've been to St. Paul's already, and of course, St. Thomas Parish, we haven't been there. So we'll see what we do in those regards. But we're here in Gingerland, St. George's Parish, and indeed, when it's all said and done, persons from St. George Parish also work at the Vance Amory International Airport. And when the project is completed, there will be many more persons from the parish of St. George who would also work there. So we are coming here just to let the persons here in St. George know exactly what is anticipated or what we hope to accomplish with this particular development. Now, this development is an investment in, of course, the infrastructure itself at Vance Amory International Airport, but it's more than that. It's an investment in the island of Nevis, an investment in our tourism product, an investment in job opportunities, and of course, there are a slew of investments that will spring or would be born out of this particular development. So that being said, we believe that this particular project is one that is needed by the island of Nevis, and indeed, we are committed as an administration, that is the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration, to bring this project to fruition so that all of the benefits can be derived. Okay, at this juncture, you didn't come to hear me, you came to hear the experts who are going to present the progress we have made thus far and also the environmental impact assessment and what that means to the island of Nevis and to this project. At the head table here this evening, we have Dan Cassell, who would be the one making the presentation this evening. Of course, we have Leo Perez and also Dennis Kane on the far end. And they are not unfamiliar to us. They've been with us from the onset of this project. So, without much more being said, we'll go straight into the presentation, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Cassell, who will lead the charge from here on. Dan,
thank you.
It's up to you.
All right. So good evening. It's too high. The volume is okay. It's fine. Good. Well, as Mr. Jeffers pointed out, we've been involved in this project since 2015, where we provided assessment for a development study to the airport. And during these years, we've developed site studies, and we were getting closer and closer to what we call the main objectives of goals to reach on this project. These goals were discussed over the years, and last year, July 2023, they were agreed, and these are the base of the design we're developing today. Basically, the main objective is to expand the runway in a way that accepts the operation of bigger aircraft and the reconstruction of the airside, that in this moment it's structurally and the surface of the pavement at the airport are not in good condition. So in some areas we will have to reconstruct the pavement, and in some areas we have to repave, and the whole thing will be repaved, level, the safety strips, etc. At the same time, there are some objectives and facilities in the airport that has to be developed. We want to create a coordination and unity in all the facilities and airside regarding what we want to achieve with the operations. So there are some items that we want to cover with you today. Obviously, it will be in a kind of a speedy way, but basically we have all the main items that we've been developing first to base the calculations we have for the development of the airport, and after that the results of this development in terms of construction, in terms of design, in terms of costs, volumes, and a really dedicated study of the environmental impact of this airport in the island. Airports are installations that really impact anywhere that they are developed. And in this case in particular, there are a lot of things that we have to look, take care of it, mitigate or compensate. Next one. So this is what we have actually in Nives. As you can see, well, the runway is end up here, and here there is the reserve or protected area that controls the water management that goes to the sea with all the storm water coming from the hills and hitting here. The system of drainage of this airport is very important. Now it partially works, and we will just reanalyze and we reconstruct the system. The runway now, as I was telling you, is not only the obstruction that Hurricane Hill means, that determines that the threshold for the landing in the airport is displaced. So the landing possibility of the runway is diminished because of the displacement of the threshold due to the obstruction. For takeoff, the aircraft go to the end of the runway, number 10, and just takes off normally, utilizing the whole length of the runway. But as I was telling before, it's not only the thing of the length of the runway, it's the situation of the pavement in this particular runway, aprons, taxiways in all the existing areas that we're taking care of. So we're going to talk about some terms here that I wanted to clarify, but we want to concentrate in these two here, which is the takeoff distance available that we will have, and the landing distance available that we will have with the expansion project. So here you can see what is the main objective of the expansion of the airside. The runway now is at this point. This is the line coast, you know. This coastline is there. So the plan for this expansion is to expand on the east end 370 meters counting the stopway, and we are totally avoiding any impact on the existing water management protected area. So we're staying around 30 meters out of that, even with the road. Because what happens? The north properties on the runway, we are not affecting, they're staying. But now they are connected by the existing road on the end of the runway, and they're connected here. So we're gonna disturb that access, and we have to provide the proper access to those properties, which always will be used as well as a safety road for any problems on the airport. So it's a double purpose of this road. You have a problem on the runway, an accident, you don't want to run in the runway, you have to run in the safety road that you provide. So what we are going to do with this expansion, we are expanding 260 meters on the west and 370 meters, counting the stopway, on the east side. And again, this is the line of the protected area that we are totally not touching it with our expansion. So the real takeoff that the pilot will have to take off on that plane is 6,070 feet. The real landing distance that he will have, because the threshold will keep this place on the same spot, because we are not dealing with the obstructions here. The hurricane hill stays. So as it stays, the threshold will remain in the same spot. 4,446 feet for landing. Obviously, the goal of operate a regional jet with this distance is totally covered. We have a design aircraft that is the Embraer 175. The Embraer 175 will operate with this length fully loaded to any destination up to the east coast of the United States. So you can have a direct flight from Nevis for, let's say, to Miami, to New York, on all the costs without any limitations. The only limitation this aircraft will have is the regulation of the Federal Aviation Administration that this aircraft cannot operate on US soil with more than 70 passengers. So we are saying 70 passengers fully loaded, and the destinations on the East Coast will be reachable from here. As well as the landing has absolutely no problem. So that lets us in one of the objectives, which was be able to operate any business jet in this airport without problem, because now the jets that operate, they have some threats and hazards with the status of the surface of the pavement, because they have granular elements loose in the surface, and that will be very dangerous for the engines. So we have to solve that problem, and we cannot operate a bigger airplane like the Embraer with this problem. So it's not only expansion, it's reconstruction and repavement, which is considered on this project. One of the problems we had is the existing ring road of Nevis, because we needed this land for development, the new apron and the new installations, hangar, cargo facility, future FBO, all these installations there. So we've been dealing for a long time with several options, trying to impact the less we can in the land, lower that impact, lower the acquisition of land, and then this is the option that was finally discussed and decided. is what you're seeing there, this point here. So we create this interchange, which is, let's say, between 60 and 100 meters over the entrance to the Nives Hotel road here. We keep a portion of the existing road until we hit the point of the expansion. As you can see, this area here needs sea work. We have to recover from the sea a volume of land that we need to expand the runway. It's not only the runway, it's the safety strips and it's the security area where the runway ends. So we will connect that road here. It will be the connection that now exists that goes that way in the road will be interrupted, and we will connect here with a complete ring road with some sea work we need here because now it's not complete, and we will connect at the end again in a distance from the protected zone, and we will connect to the existing road there. This is the last impact we could find for this road realignment, and this is the option we're working now with construction drawings. So the aprons, as you see, are being expanded. This is the location for the parking of the Embraers here, connected to the terminal there. And all the hangar location will be here. We have a cargo facility that we will develop because nowadays what is happening with the cargo is the cargo is processed in the terminal and have to be moved on the belt from the baggage of the passengers, and we have to really avoid that situation. And in the future, when we operate the bigger airplane, we for sure will have more cargo. So we have to, we need an installation that processes the cargo properly. As you can see, there are some installations here that will remain. We are not impacting this installation. We are just remodeling here. There is a roundabout to access in the airport, and then it's a little realignment, and then we connect to the existing main road. We want one of the things that really is required for this kind of development is to develop this environmental impact assessment that we did. Actually, from our side, from the specialists we use and the companies involved in the creation of the assessment, we are done. We're finished. The study is ready for public consultation, so we have to start now a process of the people who is interested in some areas of this environmental assessment to read it, get back to us with comments, with questions, with whatever comment they have, and then we will respond. So we will keep this document as an open document that we will just add and make it richer with any comment and any thing we cannot see now, but the public can have any worries about it. So it's divided in 7 chapters, and as I say, it's a 100-page book. So I'm not pretending to go over it here, but basically give you an information of what the contents of the study is. So we have the first chapter, there are 7 chapters, with a specific. This is the chapter 1 goes all the legal framework. all the regulations, all the standards from the aeronautical side, and from Navy side, and from the St. Kitts side. So there are all kind of regulations, a lot that we consulted for that chapter. So 15 local regulations, 10 federal regulations, 4 legal bodies, and then we have all the ICAO documentation as well that was taken in this. There is a total and complete list in the book that you can consult. Chapter 3, well, it's basically the description of the current situation of the airport. I think I went over chapter 2. Can we turn back one? Thank you. Yeah, okay. So chapter 2 describes the current environmental conditions in the area, and it takes care of a lot of items. It's divided in 7 different topics, and it takes into consideration all the specifics of Nevis, the volcanic activity, the climate change, the tropical storms, all that kind of natural phenomena that impacts the weather and the island. Now, yes. There. So the third one, it's just a comprehensive description of the setting of the airport. So we were very clear what the setting of the airport is, what are the detailed physical conditions, and the socioeconomic status of the airport, the preservation, etc. Next one. Chapter 4. That's the one that assesses the impact, the specific impact. It's a very important chapter because it's an assessment of the impact and opens the door for the measures of mitigation and the measures of development. So this is a total analysis from topography for noise generation, hydrology waste generation, etc. All the impact on that this airport will create in its operation. There are 2 phases that we consider. The first one is the construction phase. The impact in the construction phase is always heavy for airport construction, but it's temporary. So it's something that we have to consider how we will mitigate the construction impact, time, and then how we will mitigate those measures. This is a common effort between the airport authority, the construction, and the local community and the government. This one of the main things that the airport generates is noise in all the communities. Obviously, aircraft are noisy at some points, but in the case of this development, the good thing is that we are not making things worse for the environment. Actually, they're getting better. First, because the Embraer is a really late generation airplane. The noise levels on the Embraer are really, really low. And as I showed you before, the operation for the takeoff will be 260 meters before, that is now. The ascent of the airplane will take place. It takes place much before that it takes now, So when it's at the point of the end of the runway, it will be a specific height, and the takeoff pattern will always take this plane to the sea. Always, everyone. But what I can tell you is that one of the turbofans or turboprop that you operate now in the airport is more noisy than the Embraer. So on this point, we're fine. So when we apply the manuals of the aircraft operating, and we apply a model for the airport noise, whatever is out of the area of the runway is going on 60 decibels. 60 decibels is nothing. It's a street noise. Even in these areas here, there is 85 decibels inside the airport area. So the FAA, nothing under 65 decibels is considered even good for a study. It's not a threat for the human ear, the 60 decibels. Then chapter 5 goes for mitigation. That's a very important thing. What are the measures for mitigation? What is a comprehensive system and action plan that we have to apply to mitigate any impact we have? And we have some impacts, for sure. We are construction, we're expanding, so there are some impacts. But we have to go into a phase that we should know which impacts we are creating and what are the measures for mitigation. Yeah. So chapter 6 goes into a very interesting area, which is the sustainability, and how are we working on each specific project to contribute to the sustainability of the airport, the protection of the environment, and the economic social development of the installation. So there are a description of all the technical proposals that we are doing for that regarding the operation of the aircraft, regarding the operation of the land side, the fuel, the rainwater collection. It's a total analysis of how we try to make this airport sustainable. We have to remember that the airport creates an impact in the community. But the community also creates an impact in the airport that we have to take care of that. And one of the things that we want to study further is the avian hazard. The birds are a real threat for the operation in an airport like this. And when we're operating with this jet aircraft, we have to totally avoid the possibility of birds coming to the airport, garbage containers, any waste around the airport, ponds, something that will attract the birds. It's a normal situation international, and it's a difficult problem, but we have to find recommendations to avoid that hazard. And so the chapter 7 is all the recommendations we are providing, for the disruptions, for the construction, and the sourcing of materials. So there are a bunch of complex things that intervene in the construction process that we have to take care of. Yeah. So, as I told you, there is operational phase and there is construction phase. Now, the operational phase is the one that we will have to have a long-term kind of analysis and proposals and recommendations. Now, where how we get to the numbers that can justify the development of this airport. And it's a very complex thing, mainly after COVID. This is a graphic of the GDP of St. Kitts and Nevis. As we can see, the trend of development up to 2019 was regular, sustained in growth. Now, what happened? 220, 221. And this happened not only here, it happened all around the world. So, in terms of aviation forecast, aviation planning, which is our specialty, ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization. They recommend use a factoring following the gross domestic product for the country. They say that the air transit and the passenger traffic will follow the GDP graphic. And there is a factor that relates the amount of GDP with the traffic forecasted for the country. As you can see, the recovery on 2023 is going to almost reaching the point it was, over the $1 billion. This is a brief description of the volumes and the cost of this investment. In terms of, there is a land acquisition that's programmed, and there is a construction and soft costs volume that's been breakdown, and it goes up to $37 million US for now. Obviously, the detail engineering, the detail architecture will have an impact on these numbers. The local indexes were taken into consideration, so we think that we will not be very deviated from that number when we have the construction budget of the development. We use all regional work, we use local expertise and local numbers to price all these volumes that will be required. Now, something very important in airport is how we will return that investment. Airports is a very feasible job, it's a very feasible project, because airports are really efficient in terms of their income. It's something that is all around the world. So we calculated what will be the operational and maintenance cost of this airport in year one, and the amount is around $4.3 million. And they are distributed into commercial aeronautical. We will have starting to develop the general aviation, which is the business jets, the small planes, creating a fixed base operation here in Nevis. That's a goal, and this is a very important business for the airport. In the first year, it's just developing. We consider that amount, 1.5 million. And there are commercial revenue from the terminal, from the concessions, from the parking, from that $300,000. So the sum of this revenue for the airport tells us that this airport is capable of repaying the loan, depending on the agreement of that loan and the length of that loan. But there were a superávit of around $2 million in the first year. And the first year, the second year is supposed to grow 30% more, according to international figures. The third year, 15, until the 5th year, in which we'll just adapt to the regional numbers of development. So this was an important question and an important thing we discussed the last time, so I just wanted to show you what's the possibility of this airport. So yeah, so we are distributed in this way. The aeronautical income is the main one. We have also general aviation, and we have the concessions. Yes. So this is just you're looking at that the whole time. So this is the point where we are intercepting the existing road, creating our new road, and this road continues to link the north properties in a ring road around the airport. That's coming from Georgetown there, here, and this is located again around 60 to 100 meters from the existing entrance to Mount Nevis Hotel. Just a view, the first priority of this project should be that road, because it provides us the land to accommodate the further development. So we are prepared to start with that road in the first place, as soon as is possible. The second priority is the fire station. The fire station now is to be demolished, is destroyed, and we need a fire station according to the capacity and the condition of Nevis, which is very particular in terms of protection. So this is our design, general design for the fire station. We have all these layouts have been coordinated with the fire people here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and this is what they need for that station. This is what we are providing, and we're ready to go with this architectural design. These are the elevations, and this is the control tower. The control tower now the structure is sound. The structure of the control tower is good, but the image of that tower is not good at all. So we're just trying to reclad the whole installation, and interior do some remodeling needed. But the work on the construction is more than image, than any structural thing that we will provide. So we have also started to all the design of this, and then we have the terminal. The terminal is a beautiful building, but it's worn out, and it has not the capacity to process the new traffic that we are forecasting here with the necessary level of operation. The proposal for the terminal is really simple. We are just adding a couple of bays here, a couple of bays there. So we really get all the traffic for the baggage. We better all the access to immigration and to customs. We keep let's say the zoning of the building as it is. Then all this area of the ticket counters will be better, as well as the baggage handling for the outbound flights. The security, that's one of the bottlenecks now in this airport, will be remodeled, and the whole rooms will be better, and we will incorporate concessions for the passengers. That's basically, and that's been done in a really close relationship with the airport people, that will be modifying the design according to the requirements and the operation they are just forecasting for the terminal. That's a view of the terminal, just expanded. Those lines is the actual, and the expansion is on the two sides. And that's a view we want. I mean, we want a view That's very modern and impressive. We want the required amount of glass and light, and we want the required image in the access and the main side of the building. So I think we are achieving that with the proposal. Fuel farm, that's a very important item because now, in this airport, is not a fuel farm. There are a couple of tanks. So the fuel farm is something that in the latest years is a very important thing in terms of environment and in terms of supply and development the bio gas kind of thing. So this proposal will cover all that, the pumping station, the storage, the labs, and all the required installation for a qualified fuel farm on an international airport. That's the design. We have a preliminary basic engineering design already for the fuel farm, and we're already working on the specifications of the terminal with a specialist of that field. This is a look of the main entrance of the terminal that we want to achieve. We want a really modern and neutral colors with a correct treatment of the ceilings and all the areas, as well as the floors and the upper. But as you see, the main concept remains. It's just we are making it much better. That's for the ticket counters area, that all we know here. So all these ticket counters have to be modernized and provided with the required technology, as well as the baggage treatment of the passengers. That's the whole room. We're trying to incorporate all the elements of the core room, and basically all these concessions that give the airport a good source of income. And that's the arrivals. The arrivals need a lot of work, and we coincide with the airport authority that we need some kind of important work done here to reorganize that area. And that's all, folks. That's all I have to say. I mean, any questions, whatever, we're ready here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. And of course, you have viewed the presentation. It's now time for questions, observations, or any input that you would want to make at this point in time. So we'll do it orderly. Zimba will go around the floor with the microphone to those who indicate that they want to make an input this evening.
I have my thingy.
And if you may please indicate who you are so that you can be addressed accordingly by the presenter.
Yes. Can you hear me or no? Okay. Good evening. My name is Bruce Bradley. I'm with Castleton Holdings. We recently acquired the Nisbet Plantation project in August. And I should start by saying I'm very impressed with the airport design, the facilities itself, the apron and parking and fuel and all that stuff. But I'm somewhat shocked to see the runway design and the fact that it is abutting our property and that the design has been furthered to this level without ever being approached or consulted. And I think one of the things to take into consideration, and as part of my question, is we intend to more than double the size of the project. We have a world-renowned hotel group that is affiliated and committed to this development with us. We are going to build, five-star property that's going to include some villa sales as well. And what is not featured in your plan is the adjoining 10 acres that's part of our property that abuts the airport runway plan. That 10 acres is absolutely vital to our project and the viability of it. So my first question is, looking at the runway expansion, it extends all the way to the gut. And as you may or may not know, our property is exactly on the opposite side of that gut. And the 10 acres that you show that will be directly under the runway is to include high-end villas. It's to include some beautiful beachfront villas that are all part of our expansion. So this will, the thought of having planes fly directly overhead 100 feet or 200 feet, and even in your plans, if you could please go back to the social and environmental impact slide, you show the noise levels, and part of our property is in the red zone that you flag as being, kind of dangerously loud. And the other part is the bulk of that 10 acres before you get to what you refer to as kind of a safe 65 decibel level. So I'm just trying to understand why that has not been taken into consideration here. We had presented some plans to NIA a long time ago. I've provided some plans recently to Mr. Perez to illustrate this, but if you look at these plans, and if somebody can point out where the current gut is, the little waterway that runs through it, you'll see that it is within that red zone right there. One, I just wanted to bring that to your attention and tell you that while we're very impressed with the overall renderings and the hope to upgrade the facilities, which we are in support of, the question is hopefully not at the expense of the more than 200 jobs that we'd be creating right there.
No entiendo nada.
And I guess part of my questions are, if you
Está
could
muy impresionado con la
please
presentación.
elaborate
Parece que lo
what the
choqueó
flight
todo lo que
path
hicimos.
looks like over our property. What are the altitudes that they'll be flying, and what are the the noise factors that exist in the red and yellow areas there?
No se entiende bien.
It's not working.
Okay. Operations of this airport are from that end of the runway and take off here. There are no operations landing from this side of the runway. So that's why the levels of noise generated by the expansion are practically the same or under what we have now, because as I told, the process of takeoff starts almost 300 meters back on the expansion, and then the height of the plane at this point will be such that it will be not affecting that land and will be in a flight pattern to the sea. So I think that's the main item, but if you want some specifics, again, we have all the analysis there.
Yes, that would be very helpful if I could just come up and ask you.
Yeah.
The current the current airport and runway, as I've experienced myself,
Yeah.
is you take off and
Yeah.
you immediately go here.
Yeah.
People are not, the planes, because they're smaller prop planes, don't
Yeah.
extend over our property.
I
right?
mean, no,
But
no,
when
because
you extend this runway,
Yeah.
clearly with the jets, they're going faster, okay? And
Right.
it's going to require
Right.
going right over our property. At what level do they
yeah.
turn into the
Yeah.
sea?
I
Can you
mean,
tell us?
that thing started like 735 meters before the end of the runway to be in the air. That's V1. That's when the aircraft is in the air already. So we are improving that distance with 300 meters more. So meaning that where now they are, let's say, at 30 meters altitude, they could be at 60 meters altitude, and the pattern will be to the sea. So you won't have flies on top of your property.
So
Yeah.
right here, I
Yeah.
believe roughly is where our property is.
Yeah.
So what is the height of the planes when it crosses our property and over this development?
That's going to depend on the aircraft, but
Right.
the aircraft, the design aircraft, we can check the manual. But I think that it's the height of the Embraer at this point, end of the runway, will be more than 30 meters.
I'm assuming you've done all those
Yeah.
calculations, correct?
So the sound impact on that installation, it's below 60 decibels. And that's the level that is not a hazard for the human ear. So you won't be bothered for that.
When you say 60 decibels, in the yellow area or in the green area? Where?
Well, it's a contour. The noise is a contour. It's not a fixed kind of thing. It's a contour.
Yes.
But the contour determines that this is where kind of 85 decibels are. So at 60 decibels after the physical end of the runway is what you're going to get. No more than that. So there is no impact, sound impact.
And what is the height, the elevation? Because, like I said, our
The exact
intent,
height,
our intent is to have some
Well,
very
yeah, some-
high-end homes there.
sometimes that depends on the pilot, but according to the manual, according to the manual of the aircraft, the height at this point, at the end of the runway, is in a level that doesn't affect at all. I think you won't have any flights over this property because the big airplane will be taking off of enough height and going into the sea pattern, and the small planes we have now will be over, they will be taking off half the runway. So they're going to be out of the pattern as well.
So I think that's a very important point for us, obviously. So I think the question is, with your expertise and calculations,
Yes.
at what point do the planes actually take off? Are they in the air, on the runway?
Yeah.
And I think, as you know, with the bigger planes, there's more runway required for takeoffs than
We can-
landings because of the payload, because of the fuel, and doing that. So
Talking about where the aircraft
Yeah.
will take off and where it would land. One thing for sure is that the runway will be extended to the west.
Yeah.
If one were to think about what is going to happen here, right now as it is, 4,000 feet of runway is there right now.
Yeah.
Various private jets, Citation, Global Express, Bombardier Challengers, they take off on that same runway as it is,
Hey.
on that 4,000 feet of runway. Now we are backtracking further to the west.
See?
If, for example, they currently rotate somewhere around the old fire hall, if you're familiar with let's say the tower, in the region of the control tower, it therefore means they have more runway from the west to work with. So by the time they get to the tower now, they should be in the air.
Yeah.
But we need the extension of the runway to meet all of the requirements for the FAA and all of the other agencies out there. But I can almost assure you, I'm not a pilot, but I can almost assure you based on experiences, if you're taking off with all of these aircraft now on 4,000 feet of one runway, with various limitations. We're trying to eliminate those limitations and get the additional runway, and also to attract the Embraer 175, which needs just about 4,200 feet of runway to take off. But you cannot just provide it with 4,100 feet of runway. It has to be more.
You have
all of
to.
the necessary.
You can abort your
I can assure
takeoff.
you that by the time they get to Shaw's Road, or even before that intersection, they're already there.
Right.
Yeah.
Away from your property.
So
This
it's not-
length of
And
this
if I
length
were
of
to say-
runway.
If I were to say as well, those same private jets,
Yeah.
they have been coming even when Nisbet Plantation was open.
Yeah.
And all of the owners, not owners, but managers before, would have worked with, the situation at hand there. And without any complaints. I understand your development and we welcome it. There's no doubt about that. But based on the research that have been done and the expert opinion that has been expressed, it will have minimal impact on your property.
Yeah. The bottom line is that we are not providing more noise than you have now.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. I mean, we won't be having more noise that the airport has now.
Why don't you suggest
So
this?
it will be even lower than we have now.
Then let me suggest this.
Yeah.
Perhaps a meeting of the mind. You can have a conversation at some point between both you and the team. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you can flush out some of these things, because we can be here, like I said, for the next hour trying to flush it out.
Of course,
but
that
I
would
said,
be
let's
great.
move on to some more comments and
Okay.
questions.
One last question is with the runway, because that's such a critical element here. Why can it not be extended in the other direction, 500 feet, as opposed to here? Because this plan has changed. The new plan that you present tonight has changed from the last plan by 500 or 600 feet in our direction.
Okay, we'll have some more conversations, I'm sure. Yeah. Other questions, comments?
The lady wants a phone. Sí, no, es que sigue preguntando lo mismo.
Yes. Sand dunes and the sea road. Will the remains of the sand dunes, after the impact, be able to move freely? The sand will be able to move freely around after whatever impact?
After the sea work,
After you've done their work on the sand that might impact the sand dunes?
well, there are a couple of alternatives we have for that. It's been studied. The tide, how it works there, how the protection of the sea, of the seawork will work, and how we will reestablish the sand on these areas. That's been studied, if this is what you're asking.
I just wanted to be sure that no gateway will block the movement of the free sand, the free movement of the sand.
That the natural movement of the sand, you
Yeah.
mean? Well, there will be an area that we're disrupting that, right? Because we're building a portion on the sea. We're claiming some land from the sea. But we will take all the measures to try to guarantee that sand there, that by the way now has a high level of erosion, can stay.
Because it will protect us in storms. Okay, and the other thing is the sea road, the maximum protection that we can get for it from erosion, to prevent
Yes.
erosion.
Yes,
Because we know we had possibly a tsunami of Jamestown.
right.
Okay. That's
Yes.
it.
Yes. Well, as I told you, all the design of the sea protection has taken into consideration the levels, the tide, the movement of the water, and the protection will be dedicated to provide that natural status of the coast with the right protection.
Well, why I said that? Because in terms of, we see the climate change.
Yes.
And we had potential years tsunami before, so we can possibly again. So that's why.
Yeah, okay, no, I understand. By the way, I want to let you know that we are noting all your questions, and we will be incorporating that, trying to provide answers for that, and that our environmental book will be a dynamic book one, will be open to all the suggestions, and will be open to all the discussions and responses. Yes? When is it available for you? I think it is. It will be available on the library for you get any. Okay. Yeah. Hmm? Monday. Yes. There is one here.
Thank you for the presentation tonight. My name's Bill Hicks. My wife Pam Hicks is here with me tonight. We live right beside the Nisbet Plantation in the 6 or 7 state villas that are initially adjacent to it. I thank you for the presentation. It's the first I've really heard of it or seen the copies of these plans, so I'm a little surprised that people in the neighborhood haven't been informed a little bit more. And I thank Mr. Bradley for raising the questions that he did in terms of how high are the planes, because I live at the end of that runway right now, and not all the planes go out over the ocean. I can tell you the jets fly straight over the top of my house, and that's the private jets. So they don't turn automatically left where you're saying they're going to turn. So.
Yes.
But the bigger question, I know that you're saying that the noise is reduced to less than what it is now.
Yes.
But can you tell me how many planes leave that airport every day on average, and how many planes or jets are going to leave that airport every day on average when this is completed? Because that affects the noise, as far as I'm concerned. If I hear 6 planes a day versus 60 planes a day, and I know it's not going to be that, then that's a noise impact on my property. That's substantial noise impact on my property.
Right. Well, the calculations at the beginning establish around 2 to 3 flights of this plane a week. Is what is, because it all depends on the cycle of the change of the tourism in the island, for the 7 weeks change or for the 15 days change. So all these elements have been included in the numbers. We feel that this is a good start for this kind of planes. This aircraft operating here related to the capacity of Nevis to absorb that tourism. I'm sure that when all these markets are reached with direct flights for Nevis, that's going to increase. And maybe and we want that, but the conditions on the airport, even though the operations will increase, will not mean an increase on the impact of the island. It will impact the tourism capacity of the island for sure. They need more installations, more beds, or whatever, up to the point when the environment of the island is preserved. We can, I mean, we want the one in Cancun here, right? So that's the principle we are basically standing on the calculation of the numbers.
I understand that. When I look at the costs of the development of the airport, and I'm an architect myself, and I've been in the construction industry for 40 years myself.
Yes.
Spending $40 or $50 million doesn't seem to justify 3 extra planes a week.
Yeah.
I question that. So.
Well, that's the first year.
Right.
That's the first year. But the numbers you saw in terms of income for the airport
Right.
they support the investment because the terms of the investment that you agree that we agreed with the financing people, we established a number of years that you will return that investment. So from our belief in looking at the numbers of the first year, we're sure that the airport will be able to refund that properly.
Well, I hope it will increase the
Yeah.
If I may jump in quickly, I understand your concern about an investment and what the current state of play is. The current state of play is what it is because the infrastructure cannot support anything more than what it can support at this time. For example, these 9 passenger planes and a few private jets, the infrastructure there of 4,000 feet cannot support much more than that.
right.
With the expansion, I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll see an uptick in the arrival and departure of aircraft there. And of course, it will be a concern to you, but the airport has been there since 1950, thereabout. And everyone in the area have been living with the temporary noise. I call it temporary noise because when an aircraft take off, what, a few minutes, a few seconds, whatever the case might be, you're disturbed. But I've spent a lot of time in the United States and the jets take off over where I'm living or staying all night, up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning if they're going into Asia and those countries. But we've learned to live with these things. And as such, the point that I'm trying to make is that yes, development is going to come with certain drawbacks and certain negatives. But on the flip side of that, there are more upside and more positive to this expansion because people are leaving school every day. Young men and women are leaving school, not every day, but every year. And we are asking, what are they going to do? Where will we find work? Work has to be found for them. And this particular development is going to provide jobs in all areas of the airport where our young people can find work. Not only that, I spoke about the expansion of our tourism product. Nevis has tremendous potential that is yet to be tapped into, I must say. So we are seeking to take Nevis to places where our people can benefit. And we certainly welcome everyone, including you and all of the homeowners and everyone in the Newcastle area who have a property. But Nisbet Plantation can only survive with the airlift where passengers can leave Miami and come to Newcastle and go to the property that will be established there. We have had persons who have changed their minds about coming to Nevis because of the difficulty in getting here. Imagine you're going to leave California midnight tonight, for example, come to St. Kitts and then have to take a boat to come to Nevis, get here the following day at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not what we want for our island. We want persons to have easy access to our island so that at least they can provide us with the revenue that this country or this island needs to develop. And if we are not going in that direction, we just, well, as we say locally, chop your hands and forget about it. But we don't see it that way because we have a mandate to provide development for the island of Nevis. And we want all of us to partner in that development. We're not doing anything to affect you negatively per se. But at least there are some inconveniences that we hope you would understand and all of us will understand. Because the upside to it is that Nevis will see the type of development that we've always sought after. Let me go one step further. That pier down at Oale, before it was constructed, there were difficulties coming to Nevis too. But now there's the easy access by boat. Not everybody love that. Some want to go from point A to point B. And that is what we're providing them. Miami to Nevis, and then to the property where they're going to stay. And I believe that is going to be a huge upside for Nevis. And we want to, encourage all of us to jump on board and let's get it done. We appreciate your concern, and we document that. And anything we'll have to speak further on that. But I will say to you that Nevis has long sought after the expansion of this airport, and it has to be done in order for Nevis to get anywhere. As simple as that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, by the way, I mentioned the east coast of the states, reachable. We're making desperate efforts to go to Montreal because we're Canadians. So we want a direct flight as well.
No, I agree. It's probably the selfish part of me that says it is going to increase the traffic, so there is going to be an impact on the properties adjacent to the airport.
Yeah.
So, It might not be in the first year, but it will be in year 2, in year 3, in year 4. So.
Yeah. It does. Thank you.
Yeah. My question is going to be much, much shorter and much easier to answer. I didn't see any description of what happens at the other end of the runway. What are you going to do there? We still have a mountain, we still have a huge beach, we still have
Yes.
a massive amount of environmental impact with the green sea turtles
Yes.
all along that beach to the other side. So what are we going to do with the mountain?
Yeah. Can we get back to the scheme, please? The second or third slide. There. Okay. This one will work. Hurricane Hill stays. The operations now determine that the threshold of the runway is displaced. So the aircraft cannot land here on the end of the runway. It has to land after the threshold displacement. That is 146 meters, more or less, right? Yeah. So this threshold here, whatever we do there, while Hurricane Hill stays, will remain on the same place. So for landing, we will have the same landing limit here with a obstruction. What is going to happen is that we expand also that way up to here, so we provide more landing availability for the aircraft.
Okay.
But the conditions, we expand back there on the coastline because we want to provide more length of runway for takeoff as well. But the condition for landing in this airport remains the same
Okay, so
for
the
any aircraft that lands there. The other solution was to get rid of Hurricane Hill, but that's a big one.
Well, that would be interesting. Plow it down.
Yeah, sorry?
Hungry Hill, take it down. Is that what you're saying? No.
Yeah.
So let me get it clear. You're saying that the existing beginning of the landing strip, the angle is going to stay.
The threshold?
The
Yeah.
approach may change a little bit, but that topology up there is the same.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, no problem.
Dan,
Yeah.
how many meters are we going? Repeat it
To
again.
the east?
To the west.
Oh, to the west, 260 meters.
260 meters.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Floor is still open.
Good evening to everyone. I would like to thank the presenters for the information given this evening. I'm a bit disappointed in the lack of data that was not presented to support what is being said. For example, we speak of land reclamation, but we are not certain, well, based on what was presented, we cannot see exactly where the land reclamation is going to be, how much land is going to be reclaimed, and whether or not the necessary studies were done to ensure that there is not going to be any adverse impact, whether further downstream or upstream.
Yeah.
It appears, based on your presentation, that there is a lot of information in the EIA report. However, the purpose of the public consultation is to present that information to the public so that we can get a better understanding of what is being proposed. So I'm disappointed about the lack of data to support what is being said. We know that at times we do see planes landing from the Nisbet plantation end, depending on the weather conditions and the wind patterns, etc. But there is no information. As you said, no planes are going to be landing in that direction. But we have seen planes land from that direction before. And so if there is data to indicate that based on what is being proposed now, that would no longer occur, we would like to see that information.
All right.
While I can agree that the airport expansion is important to the development of Nevis, the lack of the data with regards to the cost of the expansion, how many jobs are going to be provided. I listened to the gentleman, the owner of the Nisbet's plantation, speak about the number of jobs that he is proposing to have at that development. But we have not seen or heard the number of jobs that would be provided and whether or not the cost-benefit analysis has been done to justify the expenditure that would go into expanding the airport.
No.
And finally, it would be important to know, with regards to the property owners who would be impacted, whether or not all of those property owners have been consulted, engaged, agreed to sell the properties, and how would the project be financed? We can hear for different projects whether or not it's going to be a PPP, whether or not it's going to be government funded, whether or not it's going to be from loans, etc. I think that type of information is important for us to really be able to understand whether or not the project as being proposed would really be beneficial for the people of Nevis. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I just, I don't know, I'm sorry you are disappointed, but I don't understand the lack of information you're talking about. What information? You mean the information about the social impact, the jobs and all that? I mean... Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we have a lot of data available upon request. We have all this data available. We don't have the amount of jobs that we will create. As a per planner, we don't have that, but I think the support of the investment, the support, it's all there. I couldn't go deeper on that in this presentation for sure, you know, but we have it. Yeah. Well, I mentioned that we have that study available, and one of the chapters is related precisely to those items. One of the chapters of the EI. It will be ready and available and for consultation.
How many pages are there?
It's 100 pages.
So
Yeah.
representing 100 pages.
Yeah.
Completely impossible.
It's,
Finalizing the details on that, yeah? And that will be made public. It is something that is not going to be a secret when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Finance has that responsibility. This is the technical side of it, which we presented this evening. And of course, for transparency, that will be known to the public as soon as the details are available. But it will be financed accordingly, and the Ministry of Finance will certainly divulge all of those details. I hear you, and you can be assured that, as I said, the Ministry of Finance will make that information available as soon as the details are known. But that is being worked on. It would be unwise of us to say that it will be financed by Bank of Nevis when in truth and in fact nothing is there to divulge at this time. It would be, no, but you would know, Ms. Hodge, that these things are steps and stages. All that we're doing here are steps and stages in the project. We are presenting the AIA as is required by law. The details regarding the finances will be available at the next step when we get there. But you cannot be divulging things before you get to that point in time. A concept has been presented on various projects in Nevis and never get to the next stage. But we are saying we are not that. We have this particular stage where at the next stage now, we'll be able to divulge the financing side of it and also the payments to the various property owners who will be impacted. They are already aware because we have had offers made and acceptance made from those landowners and property owners. So the next stage now is to pay those property owners. So we have already engaged them in writing and also received an agreement back from, an acceptance back from them. So that's where we are. So steps and stages, we're getting there, and as we go along, we'll divulge accordingly.
Good evening. My name is Alec Osborne. I live in Newcastle. You haven't spoke about your construction schedule. So what timelines are you proposing here?
I can give you an estimate of how the construction will take in time. I cannot give you a starting point because precisely this is what we are discussing now, all the financial process following all our information that has to be provided to the financial people that we are doing now. We don't think that the whole construction period will be more than a year and a half. It's our initial provision. We're hoping to start early next year, according to everything that we are putting in place. So that's all I can tell you now. Early next year, probably first trimester of the year, and you have to provide year and a half for the construction.
And that year and a half, does that include does that start with building the road?
Yeah, everything.
Completion?
Yeah, no, the road will be the first thing we have to attack in construction. We have two elements to go first. First is the road, to recover all that land that we need for the development, and the fire station, which is really, it's in demolition state. So we have to do that. Those are the both first ones we have to go for. When we have the road, then we can close the door and we start the development of the airport on this area. That's the schedule we have.
So then my next question would be for Mr. Jeffers. When do you anticipate having the financing in place to get this thing going?
Yes. Unfortunately, everything depends on the money.
I think
but this is what are we reaching for.
I think the question is when do we expect or we anticipate the financing to be available?
Yeah.
And standing here tonight, I won't be able to tell you in a month or two. I know that I can go out on a limb and say that the landowners will be compensated shortly. When I say shortly, in the very near future. We're hoping that we can do so before the end of the year. those are the property owners. But in terms of the airport construction, my guess is in the first quarter of next year we should be in a very good shape to get going on that.
And
That's just
what are we waiting for? What do you need to have in place to pull the trigger on this?
what's that? Sorry, repeat that.
What are you waiting for? What do we need to pull the trigger on this project?
That's a good one.
We're ready to pull the trigger now, to use your own terms, eh? But as I said before, everything is steps and stages. We're getting there in terms of sealing up the financing, but I know for sure, as I just said, that the compensation to property owners are going to be done shortly. So, Dan said a year and a half, 18 months. My hope is that by the end of 2026, thereabout, I'm just saying, I'm hoping that we should have this project completed. I'm hoping. And I believe the whole of Nevis will be happy when we're done by the end of 2026, I'm sure. Yeah? I would love to see you disembark at Vance International Airport when you're coming home.
So based on what you're saying, you're proposing to close on the purchase of properties, but you don't know how you're going to finance the rest of the project. So once you close on these properties, the persons would be able to continue staying where they are, or would they have to be relocated, and we still don't know how the project is going to be financed?
I'll leave that question. That's rhetorical for now, because I think we went through the entire thing just now in terms of the steps we're taking. So to go over the same thing will not really answer any question any further. So any further question? And I'm not being disrespectful, but we have just went over that just a while ago. No need to go back over that, Ms. Hodge. We just went over that. Anyone else? Well, there are some persons who want to go to a dinner at this time, you know, so we can't. If anyone has to make another input at this point in time, we can certainly do so now, but it's dinner time, and we don't have dinner here tonight. Next, hopefully sometime at the start of the new year, because we're going into the Christmas season now. Everybody's fetid and frolicking now, so we'll give you a date. We'll let a date be known publicly accordingly. But we love the engagement, and we'll have to do one or two more just to make sure that we get the word out accordingly. But it seems as though we have come to the end of this evening's presentation. I want to thank everyone for coming. And of course, the EIA, that document will be available to you at the public library as of Monday. Monday at the public library, so anyone who wants to have access to that. I think we can try and get it electronically. Let me work with the staff to get that done, and we'll make that available, yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you for coming. Get home safely, and we appreciate you coming here this evening.